The Supreme Court denied an appeal from former Corinth School District Superintendent Edward Lee Childress. Lee Childress was hoping to quash his state indictment for hindering prosecution. Childress faced allegations of failing to notify law enforcement or state leaders about former teacher Wilson Jones. Jones used AI to generate explicit images of his students, but he was allowed to resign in November 2024. Authorities didn't learn of the incident until February of 2025. Childress' defense team claimed he had statutory immunity, but the circuit court judge and state Supreme Court ruled that a jury must decide if Childress acted in good faith.